What up, guys? Your boy Quake back with a brand new episode of the Diverse Mentality Podcast number 406. And once again, I apologize. The episodes get delayed. And I knew this was going to happen because Drake was getting ready to drop, the ICEMAN album. Come to find out, it's 3 albums that he's releasing. I was like, what the fuck? How am I going to review all this? Thank God on the other 2 albums, he's not dissing anybody. He's not really sending shots. I think on like Maid of Honor, maybe on like a track, he disses like Rihanna or some shit. But overall, the response and diss tracks and all that stuff was on ICEMAN. So I had to break that down. I did. You'll hear it later on in the episode. But yeah, that's really kind of the delay. I didn't expect kind of what was happening. So that took, I wanted to wait also a day or two to kind of see what's happening and get responses from people and stuff like that, like artists. Like we'll talk about Rick Ross and DJ Khaled responding and stuff like that. So that's kind of the delay of the episode, and I kind of expected it, but, it is what it is. You guys are getting the episode now, so better late than never. We will forever have that schedule Friday, though, so I'm going to stay to that schedule next episode, I promise, unless, like, Kendrick Lamar decides to just drop 2 albums back-to-back or some crazy shit happens, really. But, yeah, I want to review the ICEMAN album. I don't think I'm going to review the other 2 albums because, to be honest with you, I think I listened to the Habib T album, a little bit of it, and I'm going to be honest with you, I didn't care. I really didn't care. There's like songs with Sexy right on there that are just horrendous. And, overall, the reason why he dropped these albums is to get out of his contract. Everybody knows that. I think he gave effort on ICEMAN, but the other 2 he just kind of put together and just put them out there because let me get out of this deal. I don't really want to give them any type of effort or music or anything. And there are words coming out, or rumors that he's getting ready to drop more projects. Like once he's out of this contract, he's just going to do his thing and drop music however he feels fit. I don't think Drake is going to let up because after this battle, I think what was happening was when For All the Dogs came out, Drake was like, oh, I've been having stomach problems, this and that. And he said some other stuff, and he was going to take basically a hiatus is the vibe that I was getting after For All the Dogs came out. Because I think there was fatigue with Drake, because you can tell by the sales of For All the Dogs, you can tell by the reception, there was fatigue. I think people were just kind of tired of hearing from him and just, he takes a little hiatus, he comes back a couple years later, like 2026, great. But then the Kendrick Lamar thing happened. The beef, that then I think put a new battery in his back to have another run, to run another decade when it comes to hip hop. Because let's be honest, he ran the 2010s. There were people that came close. Obviously, Eminem had a hell of a run in the beginning and a little bit of, because he had the run with Recovery in 2010, then Marshall Mathers LP2 in 2013. And then he dropped that horrendous album, Revival, I think in 2016. So his run pretty much fizzled out from 2010 to 2013. And then in 2017, he had that back and forth Machine Gun Kelly, Kamikaze. So he had that year. So he basically had 3 years where he had a great run musically. Drake was just there every single year. Kendrick had his great run as well, dropping Good Kid, Mad City in 2000 and what? I think that came out in 2010. No, that came out in 2012, I think, Good Kid, Mad City. I'm tripping right now. That did not come out in 2010. It came out in 2011 or 12. Why am I not remembering this? 2012. So you had Kendrick in 2012, then To Pimp a Butterfly in 2015, then Damn in 2017. But that's really about it. Drake was dropping Thank Me Later 2010, Take Care 2011, Nothing Was the Same 2013. If you're reading this, it's too late. Technically a mixtape 2015. What a Time to Be Alive as well with Future in that same time. Then 2016 Views, which did 1 million first week. Then 2018, actually 2017 More Alive. Then 2018 you had Scorpion. So he just basically ran that whole decade, and I think he's going for that again after this battle, because I think he was going to take a break and just be like, hey, let the newer generation kind of do their thing. But there really hasn't been much artists that have stepped up to the newer generation, because I've repeated this millions of times. They all died. The ones that were supposed to take the baton and do their own thing and reach a different tier. And I actually talked about this with my friend Richard is I don't think we're ever going to get the star power of a Drake, J. Cole, and Kendrick anymore. I think those days are done just because of social media, and there's so much media to consume that we're never going to get that level of star anymore. I'm almost willing to bet everything that there's never going to be a buzz like Drake's ever again. Like that days of 50 Cent's buzz and Drake's buzz is never going to happen again because, and we were talking about this, which is interesting because I was like, because we were talking about like Michael Jackson and his level of fame and his status of nobody ever reaching that. And I wholeheartedly believe nobody's ever going to reach that level. That's like a level that just, it's done. He reached it. Nobody's ever going to get there. And that's one of the reasons because, and I talked about this before on the podcast, is there were only so many outlets that people could pay attention to. Back when Michael Jackson blew up, there was only 3 channels that people could watch. Literally. CBS, NBC, and ABC. That's it in America. And your attention could only go 3 ways. Maybe the radio you could listen to, but visually on TV, your attention can only go 3 ways. And then in the 90s, more channels were introduced, so on and so forth. But as the decades went on, attention has been spread out more and more. And when Drake, J. Cole, and Kendrick, started to blow up, it was late 2000s, like 2008, 2009, 2010. And the attention was still, it was spread out, but what social medias did you have at that time? Literally, it's Facebook, Twitter had just started, and MySpace was on its way out. So there were rap blogs where you could get your music from, and the attention wasn't spread out so much. Now it's like spread out everywhere. So the level of a superstar at that level, I think it's done. I think we're never going to reach that. So the next generation of rappers, the next generation of any type of celebrity is never going to reach that level again. Now, will there be an anomaly where one person just fucking skyrockets and is at the same tier as them or surpasses their tier and reaches a crazy tier? Yeah, there's a potential that could happen. But overall, the tiers that Drake, Cole, Kendrick, let's just say, reached, no new rappers are going to reach that tier. They're going to be a tier below that, which is still good, but it's not going to be what they were. Because, yeah, there's just no more superstars being built like that. And I think it's because the attention has been scattered all over. Like, think about it. In today's time, at any given moment, you can click in an instant to watch whatever you want, see whatever you want at any moment, any time, no debates, stream whatever music you want. Back then, we didn't have that. Think about the 80s, 3 channels. Then you had the 90s where you had at least 60 to 90 channels. So you had your attention was spread out, but at least still at that time, you didn't have things on demand. You couldn't say, oh, I wanted to watch, I don't know, whatever the fuck was on in the 90s. I'd be forgetting. Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, let's just say. I want to watch that at this time. Well, you couldn't. You'd have to wait a specific time, 7 p.m., 6 p.m., whatever, to watch whatever you wanted to watch. So even then, you didn't have on demand. Then 2000s came with video on demand and TiVo and all this other stuff. And then social media slowly started creeping in. And this is where attention starts to spread out. But still, it's pretty concise. Like, hey, you still had to wait certain times to watch TV. It wasn't like, oh, video on demand took over and everything was just on demand and everybody just decided to do that. Because it was premium. I remember when we had cable as a kid, like, going video on demand was like an extra feature you had to pay for. And there would be movies you had to pay for. It was like renting. But now it's anything you want at any moment at any time. You don't have to wait for literally nothing. Like, hey, I want to listen to, I don't know, Michael Jackson's Thriller, I can listen to at this moment. I want to watch Rush Hour 1, I can watch it at any moment at any time. I don't have to wait for a specific time or anything. So that ruined the kind of superstar status, but yeah, I don't know how the hell I ended up in this conversation, but yeah, I just, Drake with these albums, I think is getting out of this deal. He's going to, he's supposed to take a break, but I think he's going to try to have another run and dominate again for this next decade. I think he's not going to let Kendrick Lamar have the last laugh. I think he's going to, and man, projections, he's going to do 500,000 first week off ICEMAN. He's scheduled to have a song debut at #1, which would surpass him as the most #1s as a male solo artist, which would beat Michael Jackson. And the timing of this is just like, I think he planned this out like perfectly because he knew the Michael movie would come out. He knew that people would listen to Michael's music, and Michael would skyrocket. So he's kind of like competing with Michael in a way, which is funny because Michael Jackson's dead and he's competing with a guy who's actively dropping music and is actively relevant. But that's how good Michael Jackson is. Even when he's dead, he's competing and still dominating, doing his thing. That's the tier that Michael Jackson's at. which is crazy to say. But yeah, basically Drake is competing with Michael Jackson at this point because Billie Jean just went like #1 on Spotify, but now Drake dropped his music, so it's going back and forth, and it's like it's really interesting. It's funny, man. Yeah, he timed it because I think he wants to like get that message across that hey, I'm gonna surpass Michael Jackson, which I don't think he ever will. Michael Jackson's level is just I don't give a fuck how many records he breaks. I think Michael Jackson's just like let me put it like this. Take Care, which is I think his best-selling album. I could be wrong. I think it is. It sold like 10 million in the United States and I don't know worldwide. Let's just say this album's done 20 million worldwide. Let's just throw that. It's just I think high. I think he's done probably like 15 to 16 maybe. But let's just say 20 million worldwide. Thriller just in America alone is at like 35, 36 million. So it would take by the time he catches up to that, Thriller would probably be at 45, 50 million, potentially 60 million just in America. So I don't think he's ever going to close that gap of beating Thriller. And I don't think he's ever going to reach that level. I could be wrong. I mean, I don't know. Maybe when I'm 60 years old and, I look at the numbers at that time, what year would that fucking be in when I'm 60 years old? That would be like 2050 or some shit like that. 2060. I don't know. 2050. Yeah. So who knows? Maybe then he'll match him. But right now, even though he's beating these like #1s and all this stuff, it's different time, different era, and are these songs staying at #1? That's the thing. Drake has these records that go to #1, debut at #1, but then they fall off and then they don't stay in the top 10. And it's like it's an unfair like #1. It's like just off of hype is why it's #1. Because think about it, Make Them Cry, which is the first song on ICEMAN, is the song that's going to be scheduled to debut at #1. Why? Because everybody's just interested in that moment and listening to, I mean, the title's interesting, Make Them Cry. Like, hey, is this guy talking shit? What is he talking about? And after the beef, obviously people are interested. I mean, at the end of the day, Drake and Kendrick both won from this beef. Whether you want to admit it or not, they both won. We wouldn't be as interested in Drake's Iceman if it wasn't for the beef, and we wouldn't have been as interested in Kendrick's music if it wasn't for the beef. That's just the reality situation because everybody wants to listen to see, are these guys going to diss each other? So they both benefited from it, but my point being, that record debuted at #1. Is it going to stay there next week? Probably not. Actually, I anticipated to drop out of the top 10 because it just doesn't have that staying power. Now, Ran to Atlanta and Genesis STFU, those two records I can see. Like actually, Ran to Atlanta is actually competing with Make Them Cry at being #1. So, he'll have those records that debut at #1, but it's just for the interest for the moment. If it stays at #1 or stays in the top 10, then I'll give it an actual #1. I've always said that, but Michael Jackson's #1 stayed at #1. I mean, let's actually look at it, man. I know I kind of got into a random rant here, but I like doing this. I like it. I didn't plan on this, by the way. I'm just like talking right now, yapping. Let's see like how long his songs like stayed in the in the #1 slot. Yeah, Billboard's website is not showing me how long these records were at #1 because their website's broken. But yeah, I'm pretty sure like Billie Jean, I remember being 7 weeks at #1. So that's a real #1 where you can like dominate, stay there for a couple of weeks versus like debuting at #1 and then falling off the chart the next day or the next week. To me, I don't really count those, but that's my kind of take around everything that's going on, but we'll figure it out. We'll see. I'm going to try to do the Iceman review in the next episode. I'm not going to probably review those other 2 albums. I'm not about to review 3 albums back to back to back. I don't really have much interest in those other albums based off what I've listened to so far. So let's get into the news. And Eminem's ex-wife, Kim Scott, is arrested 2 days after pleading no contest to drunk driving charges. So let's go over this. Eminem's ex-wife, Kim Scott, is going through yet another bout of legal trouble, and it could have not come at a worse time. As we reported just a couple days ago, Scott pleaded no contest to 2 misdemeanor charges. These charges were for impaired driving and failure to report an accident, according to TMZ. On Wednesday night, Scott was arrested yet again for suspicion of driving under the influence. As per Chesterfield Township PD Detective Sergeant Joseph Field, it is being said that Scott struck a parked car. This accident took place in the 21-mile zone near Detroit. It also took place at night, just after 9 p.m. Scott was taken to the McCobb County Jail in Clemens, Michigan, where she was booked. However, TMZ was reporting that Scott has since been released. The original incident that landed Scott in with 2 misdemeanors was quite similar. She crashed into a parked car while her son and 3 friends were in the car. Subsequently, she drove home and crashed into her garage. Scott took a breathalyzer test at the scene at the scene as police reportedly found liquor in bottles throughout the car. For those who may remember, Eminem and Scott had a tumultuous relationship. The two were married for a couple of years between 1999 and 2001 before getting back together briefly in 2006. Overall, this is a very sad story, and we hope Scott can get the help she needs. I agree, man. Her situation is, here's the thing, man. Eminem's position in this is very, very weird because Eminem, obviously, he loves his daughter, and that's her mother. So if I was in that situation, and I think this is how Eminem is handling it, I would provide for her mother as much as I could, but not to an extent where, I'm basically babying her. Based off the footage of the body cam, she lived in a good house. She lives in a good house. Like, based off it's not a fucking mansion. It's not what Eminem lives in, but she lives in a good house, is basically what I'm saying. I don't know if Eminem is providing that for her. I'm sure to a certain extent, because at the end of the day, it's Haley's mother. Even though if Eminem has no love for her, doesn't care, at the end of the day, that's, that would be my daughter's mother, that she couldn't just be living on the streets and me not giving a shit. But she also needs to be an adult and properly, maneuver. She hasn't been in the headlines or anything like that for a long time, so I'm not saying that she's a bad person. I can't remember at least last time she's been in headlines, but she definitely needs to get control of her life. I think one guy was talking about the situation, and he made a valid point. He was like, she's probably dealing with all this stuff because she sees Eminem and is like, okay, this was like at one point my man. This is my husband at one point. And I fumbled the situation doing whatever I was doing. And there's a lot of, I'm not going to go into their private life. I don't really give a shit, honestly. That's not my job to do that. I don't like to do that, actually. But there's probably cheating going on in between both of them, and it just ended up because when Eminem reached that level of fame, of course he was doing stuff with other women. I mean, that basically comes with, you don't think Snoop Dogg's wife knows that Snoop Dogg is out there, sleeping with other women? Of course he's done that. Like, that's not like a crazy thing. But certain wives, they just kind of accept and say, look, I have this comfortable life. He provides for me. He takes care of the kids. He's there as much as he can be because he has a busy lifestyle doing whatever he's doing as a rapper or whatever. And some women accept that as wives. They're like, okay, that's the exchange. I get this nice, comfortable lifestyle, but my man occasionally cheats. As long as he doesn't do it publicly to embarrass me, different story. But if they were doing it publicly to embarrass, obviously, it's like, that's disrespectful. But I think to a certain extent, women, if they're getting treated like basically queens and they're getting everything catered to them, they're willing to kind of let the man's bullshit of cheating here and there aside because they're getting provided a lifestyle that 99.9% of people never get provided for. So I think with the Kim situation, I'm just purely speculating because I don't know the relationship, is that she probably couldn't handle the side of Eminem doing what he was doing, if he was doing that. I have no fucking idea. I assume he was, though, because, I mean, it's clear as day. There's, relationships with Mariah Carey, this and that it was rumored, and a bunch of other stuff. But at the end of the day, that's their personal life, whatever. But it's probably eating at her that she just didn't accept Eminem and what he was doing with the cheating and all that. I think that's probably one of the things that eats a lot of these exes, like even 50's baby mama. Like, that whole story is just interesting because he was giving her way more money than she deserved. I think at $50,000, $60,000 a month. She was getting greedy, wanted more, and she went to child support court, and they said, no, 50 was overpaying. We're going to give you $6,400 a month instead of that 40, 50,000. But she was, bitter about him, basically being out there, being with different Hollywood women and stuff. And he openly said that. Like, at that point, man, and I can't, I'm not a female, so I can't put my mind in a female's mind, but there is certain trade-offs with everything in life, actually. There's a trade-off. You want to be successful, there's going to be a trade-off of you not spending time with family, not socializing as much, not being out there having fun. You're going to be building a business, a company. I mean, that's my trade-off. I barely go out. I barely have fun. I barely get to. Last time I was on vacation, solely for a vacation, was April 2022. We are in May of 2026. Everywhere that I've gone to, traveled to, has been solely for work, and that's it. Literally just went to New York to do the Who Kid interview. Went there for less than 24 hours, dipped, came right back. So anywhere that I went to was solely for work. But that's the trade-off. I understand that there's a lot of stuff I need to have done, and I'm going towards a certain goal in my life, and I want to accomplish that goal. But yeah, there's trade-offs in life, man. So with a female like that who gets a guy who becomes that famous, that successful, and has a kid with them, there's going to be trade-offs. And it's, I can't think of a celebrity that hasn't at a certain point cheated, on their wife. I mean, LeBron James is the only one that I haven't heard of, but I'm almost willing to bet he has. I don't know. We're completely off track, but I'm almost willing to bet. I'm just like thinking of like, there's, how many women throw themselves at him that there's no way. I don't know. For me, maybe my willpower is terrible because you just put a big booty Latina in front of me and it's over. I'm folding like a chair. But well, LeBron, I don't know. Maybe he's that laser focused. I don't know. But there is like at a certain level you're having. I'm not gonna say, but there's stuff that I've seen of a celebrity where, yeah, I'm just not gonna say it, where it's just women just throw themselves at him. It's like nothing. I'll never forget. Where was this, man? What artist? It was Kid Ink. This is back in Iowa when I interviewed him, which you can still find on YouTube. We were backstage because we're getting ready to interview Kid Ink, and he had agreed to it, blah, blah, blah. We just got to find an area to interview him. So I talked to the promoter, the club person, whatever. Hey, where can we do the interview? Oh, there's a rooftop upstairs, blah, blah, blah. So we ended up going there. But before we ended up going there, Kid Ink had finished his show. And we were backstage, like not really backstage, but off to the side, kind of waiting for him to wrap things up. And I'll never forget this, bro. There was a girl that came, and she was beautiful, like beautiful. She came and she was like, hey, Kid Ink, can I go on your guys' tour bus? And like, I think Kid Ink was just kind of like ignoring her. But the management was like, nah, we're good. She's like, I'll do anything. Please, Kid Ink, I'll do anything that you want. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, this is just one show. This is in a random state in Iowa. I saw that like firsthand. This is just a random girl who knows if she was even of age, because she looked like she was at least 18, but still, it's like, that's Kid Ink level, which I'm not disrespecting Kid Ink. He had a major success with especially his first album, the Show Me and all those records that he had with Tyga and all that stuff. Great. But that's just at that level. Like, can you imagine a LeBron James or Eminem or 50 or Kanye or all these, like, they have women throw themselves at them like it's nothing. With that being said, I'm pretty sure 95% of those men have done something with some type of women. That's just the reality, man. And some women, hey, they know about it. They just accept it. It is what it is. It comes with the territory. I live this luxurious life. My man, every once in a while, has a side piece that he has fun with, and it is what it is. I think that's perfectly fine if the guy's being respectful about it. It's not like in public. It's not making the wife look terrible. I think that, hey, at that level, I mean, I don't know. I don't think I would do it, man, to be honest with you. On my end, like if I was at that level of success, I don't know, but you never know, man. Temptations, you can say you want to do it, but hey, some people would. And I don't know, it's an interesting conversation, but I think Kim kind of, maybe she regrets not just kind of, hey, let's keep it a low key thing, but it might have to do with drugs. Eminem dealt with drugs. She dealt with drugs. So who knows? But that's kind of my take on the whole situation. I found a video breaking it down, I think on TikTok or Instagram, and it was just interesting. So that's why I wanted to talk about that side of things. But yeah, we'll keep everything posted and hope Kim gets better. Young Dolph's killer has officially been sentenced. So let's go over this. 4.5 years after Young Dolph was gunned down in his hometown of Memphis, Tennessee, one of his accused killers has been sentenced. It was November 2021 that Dolph visited Makita's homemade butter cookies, an eatery he was known to frequent. While there, two men were seen in a white vehicle approaching the store before firing off several rounds at the rapper. It was later stated by officials that Dolph had 22 gunshot wounds, including to his forehead and body, which is crazy, man. Cornelius Smith, Justin Johnson, and Hernandez Goban were arrested in connection to the crime, and now there's an update on one of the purported perpetrators. According to Fox 13 News, Smith was initially charged with first-degree murder, has agreed to a plea deal. He has reportedly accepted a lesser charge of second-degree murder after he had confessed to gunning down Dolph. Moreover, Smith cooperated with authorities to help convict Johnson. So Justin Johnson's the one that got the worst of everything. Reports further say that Smith told police he and others executed Dolph, real name Dolph Thornton Jr., following a hit put out by Yo Gotti's late brother, Big Jook. Johnson has already been tried and convicted, earning a life sentence. Govan also faced a lengthy sentence of his own after being allegedly to be involved in a crime, but he was later acquitted. As part of the deal, Smith agreed to a 20-year prison sentence. Shelby County District Attorney Steve Mulroy said in a statement, Dolph was a beloved member of this community. His death was a tragedy. His murder was an outrage. We're glad to finally have his last part of the case resolved. The sentence properly reflects the gravity of the offense while giving due consideration to the cooperation this defendant provided. We hope this resolution can give Dolph's family some sense of closure. So one guy got life in prison, one guy got 20 years, and one guy was acquitted. They should both get life regardless of cooperation, but I can understand why they gave him a lesser sentence, because they probably needed that cooperation to fully convict the main guy, Justin Johnson, a.k.a. Straight Drop, that rapper. But yeah, ended up, Gotti's brother ended up dying. So yeah, retaliation, all that stuff. 2 guys dead, and they were, on their way to make millions and do amazing things in the music business. But instead, they decided to kill each other, which is stupid. Never makes sense, but it is what it is, man. I'm glad the family of Dolph got closure. And it's just sad reading how many gunshot wounds he suffered, man. That's insane. 22 is just astronomical. They were spraying like crazy, making sure he was dead. And it's, like I said, man, the new generation died out. You got Nipsey dying out, Dolph, Juice WRLD, XXXTentacion, Pop Smoke, Lil Peep. Like, I felt like these guys were the next generation to really push things. Because Nipsey and Dolph had been around for a while, but their careers are slowly starting to take off. Like, Dolph's latest album was like, I think it moved 60,000, 70,000 units first week. And he hadn't done those type of numbers ever in his career. So he's reaching new peaks and new, heights in his career, as well as Nipsey, first dropping his major album. And I don't know what he did first week. I think like 50 or 60,000, but they were finally reaching like the point in their career where they could take it to next levels, but they ended up dying. Yeah, man, overall sad, but that's the update on that. So we have closure on completely the whole case, and that's the sentencing. One guy gets life, one guy gets 20 years, the other gets acquitted. So that's the results. Daz Dillinger is suing the Tupac estate. Let's go over it. We're quickly approaching the 30th anniversary of Tupac Shakur's tragic murder, and again, his estate is at the center of controversy. For decades, Tupac's estate has been in and out of court over rights and financial disputes, and this week, it's been reported that the rapper-producer Daz Dillinger is adding his name to the list of people seeking to sue. Long Beach, California native Daz, real name Delmar Arnard, collaborated with Tupac many times throughout their careers. Notably, Dillinger co-wrote and produced several songs on Pac's classic album, All Eyes on Me. I'm not saying it's a classic album. I'm just reading, okay? My classic album list does not include All Eyes on Me. All respect to Tupac. Including the hits I Ain't Mad at Ya, Ambitions is a Rider, and 2 of America's Most Wanted featuring Snoop Dogg. Now Dillinger is taking Tupac's estate to court, alleging that he is still owed unpaid royalties, according to Rolling Stone. The outlet reported that in court filings, Dillinger stated he was paid $91,000 after he requested royalties in 2024. Amara Entertainment cut the check. However, Daz said he couldn't verify the amount because he hadn't received the proper paperwork. His attorney reportedly issued a statement to Billboard saying, at a minimum, Amaru has failed to render statements and or pay sums due with the applicable limitations period and continuing to the present. The precise amount owed will be shown according to proof after an accounting discovery. Moreover, Tom Whaley, a music executive and former chairman and CEO of Warner Brothers Records, is the executor of Tupac's estate. Amaru Entertainment, he's operated in that position since 2016 following the death of Tupac's mother. Hey, man, this is the problem with these fucking labels, estates, whatever. Like, you have to go, like, literally hunt them down for the money. It's like they just won't give you the money. Like, you have to hunt them down to get paid. It is ridiculous. If you owe, just get the books in order. But I get it, man. They don't want to cough up any type of money, but we'll see what happens moving forward because they already paid him $91,000. So clearly there's something that's been owed, at least within these year and a half, 2 years that's been going on, so we'll see what happens moving forward. All right. I want to talk about this because I thought it was very interesting, and based off what I've talked about in the past, I think this is a specific move that happened for a reason. So Eminem and 50 Cent appeared courtside at, I believe, Game 5 of the Detroit Pistons versus the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Pistons ended up losing that night, but they appeared courtside. So Eminem, 50, Paul Rosenberg was right next to him. A bunch of 50's team and other people, Eminem's team, were around, surrounding the area. But, 50 and M were there courtside. It was the first time they have been seen in public together in a really long time. I want to say, I don't even know how long, probably over a year and a half, maybe even longer than that. But regardless, they appeared courtside. Everybody went crazy. There's photos all over the place, videos, all this stuff. And I want to talk about why they appeared courtside because, I mentioned earlier that there is a reason, that there is something going to happen when it comes to Eminem 50. Now, the first thing, it could be just, hey, 50 went to Detroit because he's shooting a documentary about his life. So he had to appear there for the Hulu documentary that he's shooting. And that's why they're there. They're shooting the Hulu documentary, and that's it. That could be reason number one. Reason number two, and this is what I think, is they are preparing a soft launch for the collab album that they have in works. Because I've been told that there's a collab album coming. My source is very, very accurate. At least it has been 80 to 90% of the time. Now, plans do change. I was told the No One Told Us record, the remix, would have Eminem on it. I'm still hearing that version happened, but it's not coming out. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen with that record, but that was supposed to be the soft launch. I guess Eminem got cold feet on that and decided to do something else because that happens, right? I've heard behind the scenes stories of, hey, Eminem is planning this and then he shifts and does this, or 50's planning this and then shifts and does that. And like one of the perfect examples is, this is a long ass time ago, but Relapse 2 is supposed to come out, and then there is no Relapse 2 and it shifts to Recovery. So artists have these plans and decisions, but then they eventually have different ideas of what to do and they shift accordingly to how they feel. What I'm being told is that M and 50 have a collab album that either they worked on or is completed, and this sitting courtside is just a test to see, is there any interest in them together being spotted out in public. I think it's a soft launch for that, or it could just be the shooting the Hulu documentary. But yeah, my source and what I know and who I know has said there's something in the works musically with them too. Is it a collab album? Is it the soundtrack to the Street Fighter movie that they're working on together? Something. There's going to be something that comes out of this musically from them too. I'm hoping it's the collab album. That's what I'm getting pointed towards, or it might just be me being delusional, but yeah, I just wanted to talk about it, and I thought it was interesting because, you usually don't see these two together out in public. You really don't see Eminem out in public, courtside, anywhere. But with 50, it was interesting. But yeah, that's my take on it. Speaking of 50 and G-Unit, Tony Yayo confirmed the return of the G-Unit sneakers. Yes, he appeared on Real Report and announced this. Check this clip out.
We got some big news. The G-Unit sneakers are coming back, man.
Oh, shit. Look at that. Okay.
Shout to Reebok.
Okay, let's go, fam. Let's go, fam.
I'm not wearing no Gucci, no Louis. Give me the G-Unit smoothies, baby.
I'm hot, man. I rock Reebok, man. If it ain't the G-Unit,
we did some good numbers. Shout to Reebok.
Oh, yeah.
How do you feel about that, Mark?
I feel good about that. I'm definitely not gonna fuck up the bag how y'all niggas fucked up the bag back there.
It was just a bad day that
day. Could you just walk me through that? So what did you just
the checks was great from Reebok. Shout out to Reebok. It was like you're getting $100,000 to do anything.
Damn.
And his point was like, why am I giving these guys like seasonal money when I can just grab a sports player or somebody that will actually wear the product. And later on down the line, the lesson is you learn. So it's just, when you're young, you do stuff like that.
The new GXT by Reebok.
I know what he's talking about, right? When that check clear, I'm wearing them G-Unit Reeboks every day for the bag.
All right,
I'm not messing up the bag. I don't know what you're doing.
Well, I'm with you.
All right, so the infamous story of 50 calling everybody up to the G-Unit offices and then looking under the table and seeing that nobody was wearing G-Unit sneakers despite them getting paid to wear them. Now, the funny part about that story is that wasn't always the case. They were wearing G-Unit sneakers literally everywhere for the first 2 to 3 years. And then in 2006, 2007, there was a shift to more Gucci, Louis Vuitton, all this higher end stuff. And the celebrity or the endorsed products were really looked down on. Like it was just a money grab, and people kind of shifted to more higher end of products and products that weren't endorsed by celebrities for a specific amount of time. So Gucci, Louis, all this stuff, Hermes and whatever, all these fucking other high luxury brands was where artists were wearing, and then that's what they ended up wearing. And then at that meeting in that day, he caught all of them lacking, and none of them wearing G-Unit sneakers. And they were getting paid. The report is anywhere from $400,000 to $500,000 a year just to wear them. So if you're getting $500,000 just to wear a pair of sneakers, bro, I'm gonna be sleeping in them damn sneakers. Is what I'm gonna be doing if somebody's paying me $500,000 to wear them. So now, obviously, as the years have gone on, Yayo's learned his lesson. He's a lot more mature, and a grown adult. So obviously he's going to be like, yo, I'm going to wear these sneakers. It makes perfect sense, right? 50 at one point said that he got an $80 million check for how much sneakers he was selling from Reebok, which is insane. So I don't know if they'll do those type of numbers again, but the G-Unit sneakers coming back, I think it's going to have some type of feel, some type of nostalgia feel to them where people are going to want to buy them. I'm going to try to get myself a pair, like not just regularly sold. I'm going to try to get G-Unit to send me a pair if possible, because I know they're going to go online and bots are going to buy them, and I'm going to have no chance of getting them. So I hope I can get myself a pair just for myself without having to worry about the bots and shit like that, because I'm pretty sure when the drop comes, they're going to sell out fairly quickly because they're going to do a limited drop. This is how they do this shit, so people have interest, so on and so forth, and buy all this stuff. So 50 responded to that and basically laughed and said, Yayo can never keep a secret, so I'm never telling him anything, which I think he's joking and trolling. Yeah, Yayo announced the comeback. I'm excited for them. I'll cop some sneakers. I was way too young when they first came out. I remember I was in the 4th grade, and at this time, the elementary that I was going in was sharing grades in classes. So 4th and 5th graders were in the same class. It was like half 4th graders, half 5th graders, which I had never seen before, but in that specific school, it was that. And my friend, he was a 5th grader, so he was older than me, but we ended up becoming friends, and he was wearing G-Unit sneakers. And I was so jealous. I was like, man, those are fucking amazing. Like, I wish I had those, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, so he was wearing G-Unit sneakers, I remember, and I didn't have any. I was too young to buy them. My parents weren't going to buy them for me at the time. I'm pretty sure they would have if I would have asked, but because my mom would buy me like a pair of sneakers, like at least one for the new school year, so I would choose one and that's it. You get nothing more than that. And even that I was blessed to receive because, sneakers were expensive even back then. Now they're crazy expensive, but back then, like imagine spending $60 to $70 on a sneaker. That's basically $150 right now. But yeah, I just remember, him having those sneakers and I was like, damn, I wish I had them. So I was too young to be able to purchase them. By the time I got old enough, they weren't selling them anymore. You'd be lucky if you got them on eBay, somebody was selling them. So I'm glad for this comeback, and I'm going to buy whatever I can buy. Maybe have a pair just to own a pair and not wear them at all. Maybe have a pair just to wear them as well. So I'm excited for it. I know you guys are probably excited for it, but hey, man, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. We'll see what's the return. I wish G-Unit as a group was returning with these sneakers. It would be really cool, but yeah, I mean, it is what it is. We'll see what happens moving forward. And Drake is officially back, and the ICEMAN is here. But there's a catch because he's decided to drop 3 albums, not just ICEMAN, but he decided to drop 2 more, and I have a theory as to why. For those unaware, Drake is officially back, and he released his ICEMAN album, and it is an 18-track album where he's addressing a lot of the stuff that happened the past 2 years, as well as personal things happening in his life. And I'm going to break down majority of the bars of him addressing Kendrick. He addresses LeBron James, DJ Khaled, DJ Mustard, J. Cole, a bunch of people, right? And he does that mainly on the ICEMAN album, actually fully on the ICEMAN album. And he dropped 2 other albums. One of the other albums called Habibti, and the other is called Maid of Honor. And both of these albums are more like R&B, love, clubhouse music, more chill vibes. So that's what you get out of those 2 albums. I'm not going to be talking about those albums. We're solely going to be breaking down ICEMAN because that's where he raps all over the whole album, and he, addresses a lot of things that's going on. First, I want to get into the theory why I think Drake dropped 3 albums, and I solely think it's because he wants to get out of his Universal Music Group contract. I believe he had 3 more albums to deliver, and he said, here, I'm going to deliver them all at once, so I'm out of this contract. That's the only reason I can think of as to why he would drop 3 albums, because he doesn't have a good relationship with them anymore after the whole Kendrick Lamar beef, so he wants to be out of there, and I think he's either going to sign to Sony or he's going to go fully independent. I think he's more going to lean towards Sony, which is unfortunate. I think Drake at that level can definitely go independent, even if he only sells, 200,000 or maybe even 300,000 first week. He might have the worst first week sales of his career being independent, but he's probably one of the few artists that can actually go independent and still move units and still have people's interest. I mean, we just saw Kanye West drop Bully and do really well first week and have people's interest, and he's independent when he dropped that. So Drake can definitely do that. I encourage him to go the independent route, but hey, we'll see what happens now that he's finally out of the Universal Music Group contract. So that's why I think he dropped those 3 albums, just to get out of the contract, deliver it and be out of there. Another reason why I think Drake dropped 3 albums is because he wants to match Michael Jackson's record. So when Michael Jackson passed away, the first week of July in 2009, 3 of his albums ended up in the top 3 slots on the Billboard 200, which was the first time an artist had ever done that. However, Drake is looking to debut 3 albums in the top 3 all at once, which would be the first time an artist had ever done that. But if he accomplishes that with these 3 albums, he also matches what Michael Jackson did. He just does it in a way that nobody's ever done it. So that's the reason why I think he's dropping 3 albums as well, is to match Michael Jackson's records and break a new record that nobody's ever done. So if you're confused, basically nobody has debuted 3 albums in the top 3. Debut means the first time they've ever charted on the charts, new albums. Meanwhile, Michael Jackson did it with old albums after he passed away. So that's the difference, but essentially the same record, just one is with new albums, one is with their older catalog. Let's go over the ICEMAN album. It is 18 tracks in total. So let's start with the first track called Make Them Cry. The verse starts out with him basically reflecting on his life, of how his parents have aged and how he's hit a different stage in his life, and how he had a conversation with 40, and 40's like, hey, dig deep when it comes to what's going on in your life and what's going on with, after the battle and all that. And Drake's like, yeah, I can dig deep, but I'm trying to find a balance and peace with it. And then he mentions the situation with Kendrick Lamar. He says, with the dot back in 2024 was a big piece. So it's like, this shit is me, but it isn't me. Y'all keep on asking me what it did to me. And that's what it did to me. When I dig deep, they say dig deeper. Tell us how it felt to meet the Grim Reaper. And we know Kendrick Lamar gets called the boogeyman. So a lot of people have asked questions like, how has this affected you, Drake? Because you got to think, not like us, huge song, calling somebody, a pedophile. It's insane. It's going to affect somebody's mental one way or another. He continues, says, this album better have some big features. Well, sorry to burst your bubble, but I'm all alone for my mental. So I think he changed this up. Maybe he felt that way when he first started the album, but as you can see on the album, he has some features on there. And I've been trying to end so many people, I almost forgot the intro. Been so sure of my words that I haven't used a pencil. Been so paranoid that nothing in this world seems coincidental. Moving on in the bars, he says this then. Guys want to talk about a battle. I'm battling patience. I battle frustration. I'm about to turn 40, dog. I'm battling aging. I'm battling the fact that the album ain't even dropped, and already they ass is complaining. F it, I'll battle the label. F it, I'll battle the majors. I'll battle the stations till my ass is back in rotation. So this, from these bars, my speculation is that he's going to go independent. He's not going to sign to another label after dropping these 3 albums. So that's what I get from it. But then he says, shout out to the real fans that knew what I had in the basement. Shout out to the fake fans. I thought we had an arrangement. How many times have you tried to tell me I had a replacement? How many times you're about to ask if I had a vacation? How many artists I've had to witness do bad imitations? Guys want me all bent out of shape, rattled and shaken. My dad got cancer right now. We battle in stages. Trust me. When I say there's plenty of things I'd rather be facing for real. And this time, ask me to dig deeper. I'll gladly explain it. So a great way to start that album out, and him revealing his dad has cancer. It's unfortunate because my dad did too, and he died as well from it. So it's something hard to go through. And shout out to him for at least being open about it. And prayers up to his dad. Going on to the next track, Dust. On the chorus, he says, they was like, go blow the dust off your plaques. Go blow the dust off your plaques. What was the year they say you had slaps, because I don't remember it going like that. He's basically making fun of artists who haven't had recent success. And then he takes a shot at Kendrick Lamar. He basically says, what was the year that you were dominating? Because I don't remember it at all. You don't have those type of hit records that you think you do. Then on verse 2, he says, if it's up to me, I get everyone hit. I get everyone lined up. If it's up to me, I've been clocking you, pussy man. Everyone's time's up. If it's up to me, if it's up to me. If it's up to me, then you all on a list, man. Everyone's signed up. If it's up to me, it's already made. I ain't making my mind up. If it wasn't for me reaching my hand, you'd never climb up. Another thing where he's just doubling down on saying, hey, I'm the guy. I'm the one that helped a lot of your guys' careers. If I didn't reach out, then you would have never climbed up to the position that you're in. So, just a little bit more bragging on this record, but he didn't really do too much disrespecting. It's one of those not really barred up records. But the next track is Whisper My Name. And in the first verse, he starts out by saying, my white label had to go white label shit when he stepped out his body and finally got hot. Basically what he's saying is Universal didn't copyright claim or copyright any of the music that content creators were reacting to when Kendrick Lamar dropped Not Like Us and all those diss tracks. But when Drake dropped his songs, they were copywriting them and striking them. And they're actually doing the same right now, even though there's reports that, hey, ICEMAN, you can stream it, blah, blah, blah. It's not looking like that. You're still going to get hit with copyright. So Drake is addressing that, saying, I had my own label at the time was making sure that Kendrick had more push from the content creators than my own music. So they were going against me. Continuing on, some people are speculating that this is not really disrespect, but it's kind of checking The Weeknd, because Baby Boy Please, he says, I heard what you said to Lil Bro about me. Playboi Carti calls himself Baby Boy, and Playboi Carti and The Weeknd have gotten a lot closer. And Drake, in these bars, suggests that potentially Playboi Carti was talking behind his back to The Weeknd. So he says, Baby Boy Please, I heard what you said to Lil Bro about me. Yeah, and when you run into the ICEMAN, what you gonna do except freeze? You're not about to squeeze, you're not in the streets. I'm cutting guys off at the knees. They ain't on standing on business with me. Once again, we've heard bars of Drake basically saying that The Weeknd's not tough. He's an R&B guy, and he's, it's some of the people around him, but other than that, he's not that tough guy that he thinks he is. On verse 2, he also addresses the Jay-Z question that people always get asked. Would you take $500,000 or, dinner with Jay-Z? He says this, I'll take the $500K, not the dinner. I can't never learn shit from none of y'all. So more shots at Jay-Z there. Other than that, on this track, there really isn't anything else that's said. Continuing on, we go to Janice STFU, which stands for Shut the Fuck Up. On the first verse of this track, he says, A, buried alive, someone come dig me up. If I call your shorty up right now, she picking up. You boys got big off my name, that's big enough. Of course, Rick Ross, A$AP Rocky, Kendrick Lamar, and whoever else that Drake has helped early on in their career or has made records for them, hooks, whatever. He's basically addressing all of them and saying, you guys got way too big off my name, and that's enough. And then here, he actually sends a subliminal at Jay-Z for the first time in a while, because Drake and Jay-Z have gone back and forth subliminally for quite some time. But now he's addressing Jay-Z again. He says, we know how you OGs rocking already. My guy, the jig is up. Jigga, Jay-Z. He's addressing Jay-Z because Jay-Z is the one that's seen really close to Kendrick Lamar at the Grammys and all that. And he's really supporting and pushing Kendrick Lamar throughout the whole battle. And what better timing, because Jay-Z really this year has said he's going to address a lot of things. And a lot of people are speculating that Jay-Z might actually drop an album this year. So we're probably going to get responses from Jay-Z to Drake. And who knows, there might actually be a battle that starts between this, because I don't see them sending subliminals for too long. It could start to spiral out of control like the Kendrick Lamar beef, because Drake and Kendrick were sending subliminals for a long time. Same thing with Jay-Z, so I wouldn't be surprised if they started beefing over this stuff. Then he continues on and says, they say the truth will set you free. Well, mine is going to stream while you watch in HD. They say that karma take an eternity. Yours is dropping the same night as me. Funny thing is, they ain't going to compete. You going to get yours while I'm doing me. Then on verse 2, he decides to go a little bit more at Kendrick Lamar. He says this, tired of all y'all telling me guys is real. Pussy, I know when it's real. You only come home to pose and pop off a look, but you forgot how it feel. Chi-Town popping a pill, go on a drill, looking for someone to kill. White kids listen to you because they feel some guilt, and that's how your soul gets fulfilled. He's addressing Kendrick Lamar directly here. handing out turkeys on camera inside of your hood, then you go back to the hills. How many houses you build, how many souls did you heal off of the back of your deal? You know, with Kendrick, you know, doing the money trees and helping the community in Compton and all that, Drake is questioning, you know, who he is as a person. Is he actually doing that stuff? Again, we've heard this during the beef and the battle that was happening in 2024, but Drake is doubling down. And that's it for this track when it comes to subliminals. The next track, Ran to Atlanta. This is Drake and Future coming back together to make music despite everything that happened with their beef. And I believe Tony Yayo said it on his podcast, but basically Big Bank and 21 Savage made sure that they squashed the beef after all these years. And the funny thing is, the title of this track is Ran to Atlanta, which is referencing Kendrick Lamar's Not Like Us, where he says, you run to Atlanta when you need a whatever bag or whatever the fuck he says on the record, I forget. But yeah, he's basically referring to that Not Like Us verse where he's talking about Drake running to Atlanta to get hits and money. On verse 2, Drake says, me and Hendrix back by popular demand. Then he continues, says, I'm quick to turn a hater into a fan. Guys standing 10 toes on quicksand. If they could have been, they would have been, but they can't. So then he continues on and says, know what I'm saying? Outsiders back to what it was. You know what I'm saying? Atlanta, tell you about my run. Ask Pluto Bank 21. Basically confirming that Bank and 21 Savage ended the beef between Future and Drake. And basically Drake throughout the record is flexing that, hey, I still have Atlanta supporting me regardless of the stuff that Kendrick Lamar said. And yes, he can still collaborate with people in Atlanta and they'll still, you know, embrace him with open arms. Then on the next track, Shebang, which is track number 6, he addresses a little bit of A$AP Rocky and says here, where's the beef? It's cooked. Where's the boy? He's booked. Am I upset a bit? Last one you dropped was shit. I did press play on that hoe, mid, skip. Now, he could be obviously disrespecting Kendrick Lamar's GNX, A$AP Rocky's album, J. Cole's album, whoever that he has issues with. And then he says, what should I take a trip? Who should I take his bitch? Obviously, he's going at, you know, A$AP Rocky with Rihanna and all that stuff. Continuing on, though, he doesn't really say much on here. On the next verse, he says, secrets I know you got you stressed. Will I take those to my death? Haven't decided just yet. So here, you know, this is the Drake red button thing where Drake's always kind of threatened to reveal a lot of information about people, but never really did it. It happened with the Pusha T situation where he was supposed to respond with a diss track, revealing a bunch of information about Pusha T and stuff, and just never really did it because apparently Jay Prince stepped in to stop it because it would have ruined people's families and stuff like that. But yeah, so he's basically doubling down on that and saying, hey, I got secrets. Should I let them go? The next track is track number 7, Make Them Pay. In this first verse, he flexes that he can perform in Los Angeles and pull a crowd of 1 million people. He says, and I faced the way they paint me, but it hurts just like the Philly Eagles. LA love the sound. I could play a show for 1 million people. Don't be surprised you see the whole Young Money in CA, just like the Village People. Now, this is funny because YMCA is, you know, an actual, I don't know what the fuck it is. It's like an organization, a place to, you know, hang out and stuff. But he actually, you know, does wordplay by saying YM Young Money, California, CA. So really cool on that. These guys measuring their dick size in millimeters. I rack up a tab in Chanel because I do buy everything like I'm Middle Eastern. And then he mentions the Not Like Us, you know, pop out show, as well as the Not Like Us music video where he says, I'm trying to catch one of you boys stargazing in the field like little leaguers, and ain't no passes for you crip walking, all of that diss talking, kiddo, beat it. I'm supposed to be my brother's keeper, so don't make us hit another buzzer beater. You know, talking that tough talk and addressing all those people that were crip walking and dancing when it came to the Not Like Us track. And then he addresses Jay-Z again. He says, my guys run a phone as soon as you check into prison. You guys run and talk to Hove for a second opinion. Hove being Jay-Z. Me, I stood 10 T's and accepted the mission because I'd much rather death than submission. How can you press the ignition and let some memories of the past affect your decision? So here he's, I think, addressing J. Cole. He's saying basically J. Cole pulled the trigger on trying to beef with Kendrick, and then once he dropped that 7-minute drill track, he pulled back. And Drake's saying, listen, if I'm going to go, you know, battle, I'm going full on battling. I'm not going to retract anything. And then he continues, and I think here he addresses more of J. Cole. He says, I love you because of the history, But if we being real, I could never forgive you, and you never called me back. But destiny's written for real. There are rumors that, you know, when J. Cole backed out of the battle, that Drake and J. Cole stopped talking to each other, no longer cool. And here he's addressing that. And then he continues, says, fuck a big three anyway. There was too many chefs in the kitchen. It was a mess to begin with. Yeah. So he addresses the whole big three, big me, all that stuff. And now they got a new GOAT and we got to test the position. Damn, who is this guy for real? I guess a magician. And here he goes at Kendrick. He says, 100 million streams vanished. No one got questions for guys. Well, maybe I'm best as the villain because I got real numbers on guys who say they got billions. Now, if you don't remember, Spotify did a lot of cleaning with bots and streams. And Kendrick Lamar was the one that took a lot of hits on that bots and streams that got removed. He says, I got all the chains that they ever repped in Virginia. I got guys as prized possessions. I get possessive on guys. Here, he's, of course, clowning Pusha T, as well as the Clips and Pharrell Williams in general. I'm pressing everything. I'll get impressive on guys. I got problems with people who I would have never dreamed, and that's dragging people in who don't want to get in between. Dog, I was Aiden Ross with streams before Aiden and Ross had ever streamed. Now, this is a great wordplay because he's talking about Aiden and Ross, the streamer, but then he also says aiding Rick Ross, the rapper, meaning I was helping this guy get streams on his music before Aiden Ross, the actual streamer, was streaming. So great wordplay there. And then he addresses DJ Khaled. And I think Drake's issue with DJ Khaled is that Khaled never stepped in to basically pick a side or at least say something about the beef. So Drake didn't like that. He said, and Khaled, you know what I mean. The beef was fully live. You went halal and got on your deen. And your people are still waiting for a free Palestine, but apparently everything is in black and white and red and green. Damn, I'm seeing everyone's true colors for real. I'm sensing a theme. DJ Khaled is Palestinian, never spoke up about what's going on with Palestine and Israel, so Drake calls that out. Continuing on, he says, I'm greater than everybody, like some shredded cheese. I was in Hazleton at the one before I was in the loop like a set of keys. So yeah, a bunch of bars going on about other things, but yeah, just in this verse, he addressed, Jay-Z to a certain extent, Kendrick Lamar, J. Cole, Khaled, Rick Ross. So loaded bars there for this track. So that's it for Make Them Pay. The next track is Burning Bridges, and on the hook, Drake says you're getting bodied by a singing guy, which is a reference to the back-to-back record. And it says your baby mama ain't even post her single. Damn, where's she at? Yeah, where's she at? Your baby mama ain't even post her single. He could be referring to A$AP Rocky because Rihanna hasn't really, supported his music like that. She has shared some things here and there, but not to that extent. Or he could be addressing Kendrick Lamar. Obviously, his baby mama never posted anything of Kendrick Lamar's online. So that's what I'm assuming he's referring to. In the verse of the track, he says, you saw my brother, you was trying to fix it, now you drop your album and you back dissing. This could be a reference to A$AP Rocky because he was talking to academics and potentially there could have been something where it could have been fixed. But obviously he dropped his album Don't Be Dumb and then he was dissing Drake all over it. So that's it for this track on Burning Bridges. The next track, National Treasures, leaked online a while ago, so I'm not really going to go over the bars. Basically, Capo and Lito, habits together, whatever. It's a fire track. It starts out, but I don't like the second portion where it just changes. But let's go over the verse on the second portion because this is all new. So, boy, got to dip out the 6, run out the 6 just like you did. I think here he's talking about Kendrick Lamar, where he did his tour on June 12th and June 13th in Toronto. And it was reported that Kendrick was receiving an escort to the airport to fly to New York to spend the night there before the next tour date. Drake states that Kendrick left the city as soon as possible and couldn't spend the night because he was fearful of tension boiling over a hostile situation. So here he's kind of calling out Kendrick for, yeah, you performed in my city, but you dipped immediately. You didn't even stay. So why was TPS at my crib until you boys slid? Basically, he's saying, why was the Toronto Police Department at my house when you were performing? Was it because you were scared we're going to do something? Basically calling him out. And the rest of the verse is just him, talking his talk about him being the mob boss that he is. So nothing really directed at anyone. when it comes to the rest of the National Treasure second verse. On the next track, B's on the Table, which features 21 Savage, I feel like in Drake's verse, which is verse 2, he's basically checking to see if Kendrick is actually going to respond to him with all these little subliminals that he's doing. This is how I feel about it. He says, spent months in the corner, just me and my back. I'm used to this. I'm numb to that. I know I just gotta adapt. Let's wait on your Spotify Wrapped. The messages you about to send on the 16th, which is a day after his album's release, please don't hit send on none of that. There's no need to check where the temperature is at. You know what it is if you double back. So he's basically, I think, taunting Kendrick. Should have put another blade in my back. Should have stood over and double tapped. Hey, what y'all need, a duffel bag? What is that offer they said? Why? What did they put on the table? What does that say on that paper? F that. They got to double that, triple that. Fuck is the bitches at? Yeah, the chef 2 Michelin. Come to the 6. We dipping you boys like christening. Kevin Hart liquor. He shook. I'm going to put you in some sticky predicaments. Killy might come take a trick off a pussy like they was transitioning. I'm fighting the man, not suing the rapper. You boys is not listening. So there you go, addressing the UMG lawsuit, saying that you guys got all twisted up. I'm fighting the man, Lucian, the label, and not Kendrick Lamar, the rapper, of his diss track. Your boy a fisherman, that's just one word in the industry. Don't mean to be in y'all business. I'm talking spicy, hot, sizzling. Don't stick around if you visited. So yeah, more of taunting to Kendrick Lamar, I think, and saying that, where's your temperature at, or you do want to double this back, basically, and then addressing the UMG lawsuit as well, saying that I'm not going at Kendrick. I'm going against the label. That's where I'm at, and you guys aren't even paying attention to that. On the track Plot Twist, which is track number 12, really he's just talking about the people surrounding him and how they're down and trained and ready to go if anything serious happens when it comes to any type of issues that Drake has. Basically, his goons. That's what he's addressed on the whole track. On this track, Too Hard for the Radio, what's interesting is verse 2. He addresses Mustard, Pusha T, and Jay-Z. So let's go over the verse 2. He says this: Mustard heard about us, gotta catch up to the slaps. You ain't had one since me and YG rapped, which is talking about Who Do You Love and those records that Mustard produced with YG and Drake, which is essentially true, until the Kendrick Lamar Not Like Us came. And he says, facts, $900 million for the tracks. Rack City, bitch, we remember that, which is the Tygo Rack City record. That was huge and must have produced that. Damn, you should try and get back to that. This new shit, you could have kept it on the laugh. Fact. Basically making fun of this guy's music, saying it ain't nothing. And this is interesting. So then he says this: damn, y'all was really island hopping back then. Huh. Now y'all names got redacted. Yeah, now a guy got a fact check. What? Here he's referring to Pusha T and Jay-Z's name being on the Epstein Island document files and being accused of having to do stuff with Epstein, which is obviously Jay-Z and Pusha T are the only ones that were mainly mentioned when it came to that stuff. So he's calling that out and saying, you guys are island hopping. Now your names are redacted from all kinds of documents because you guys were doing crazy stuff. So that's going to be interesting to see how Pusha T and Jay-Z respond to that. But that's it for that record. The next track, Make Them Remember, was actually leaked online as 1 a.m. in Albany. So it turns out it's not a timestamp record at all. It's actually called Make Them Remember. And on this track, he addresses LeBron James, Kendrick Lamar again, and a few other people. So let's go over this. He says, my social battery is drained for real, just came from hearing a lot of guys cop a lot of pleas. Like, oh, brother, we brothers. It's never been nothing. So he's basically saying a lot of people have shifted and tried to become his friend again after the whole beef, despite siding with Kendrick Lamar. And he's basically calling BS out on that. On the verse, he says, they say conclusions were drawn, but I'm in super denial. What is a loss? I'll be damned if I'm losing it now. I'm the golden goose shaking things up at Lucian's house. So he sends some direct shots at Lucian, who obviously is the CEO of Universal Music Group. I'm in the battlefield, really putting boots to the ground, a booster seat for yourselves and the lies that you tell. The booster seat is obviously making fun of Kendrick Lamar for being short. This is interesting, though. This bar is interesting. He says, if Drake took out the AK, maybe he'd be in jail just based off the name that it spells. Why they say they just smelled. I heard they got special places in hell for guys joking about evil when they did it themselves. Damn. Here he is dissing Dr. Dre because Dr. Dre has been really close to Kendrick Lamar and obviously supporting him and being one of the few people that was really, really close to Kendrick and clapping when he got the Grammy Awards and showing up at the pop out and all that. And Drake says if Drake took out the AK, and this is a play on words, because if you take the AK out of Drake, it spells out Dre. And then he says he'd go to jail basically trying to kill people. But he says, for guys joking about evil when they did it themselves, referring to Dr. Dre and his abuse allegations and the stuff that he's admitted to doing back in the 90s, putting his hands on females. So he's saying basically these guys are laughing about stuff that isn't even real, but they themselves have done bad things that is actually real. And of course, we know throughout the battle, Drake accused Kendrick Lamar of being an abuser to his wife. Continuing on, he says, what y'all thought I was done, y'all forgot what I done. Y'all forgot about Drake, y'all forgot where I'm from. Y'all forgot if I gave you a hand, you under the thumb. Convenient amnesia from all you ballerinas. It doesn't alter what you said or how it made us see you. It shouldn't be shocked to see you in that arena because you always made your career off of switching teams. Here he is dissing LeBron James because LeBron was there at the pop out, I think it's called. And, he was having fun there. And Drake is saying, no surprise here. You change teams all the time. And then he says, I never got a copy of the newest rules. Apparently the title of the book is called Fooling Fools. Y'all was riding all summer, pedal bars going #1. And yet y'all trying to tell me who's grooming who. Then he continues and goes to LeBron more. He says, please stop asking me about what's going on with 23 and me. LeBron James wears the 23 number for his jersey. He says, I'm a real guy and he's not. It's in my DNA. I could have fell back like the married rapper, but we engaged. I told y'all I'm settled in my evil ways. Here he's, going at J. Cole again, basically saying the married rapper is J. Cole, obviously. And, J. Cole fell back from the beef and he's saying I could have done the same thing, but I'm engaged in his evil ways of what he's doing. So he says these guys thinking that the spot is up for grabs. They'll never see the day. To be the number one, you got to lead the way. Here he goes at Kendrick again. He says, and to hold something over my head forever, you're still a couple feet away. Your insecurities keep spanning season to season like you Issa Rae. Plot twist, the owl never sees the cage. The owl only wakes up to seize the day. Here he's referring to the Kendrick Lamar Not Like Us video where the owl's in the cage. Talking about hiding the Bible, maybe I should read a page. Iced out crosses on the necks thinking Jesus saves. Well, even if he does, guy, either way, the blasphemy you talk, let him know that your amazing grace going to be delayed. You guys should be ashamed. The fact that you had these talks to get decent plays, goodness grace. Going at Kendrick some more, basically saying he's living this double life. He puts this image on like he's this great guy and great person, but behind the scenes, he's a terrible person. God want to wipe that little smug look off your fucking face. All you really did was cap like uppercase. Of course, talking about the Not Like Us song and line about him being a pedophile. In these next bars, he goes at Joe Budden. This is some pretty funny bars towards the end especially. He says, I watched the scout spaz him with a puzzled face. Who knows which one of his bubble-shaped tings I must have ushered through the double gates. He's talking about Joe Budden and the various women he's been with. So he's saying, who knows which female I was with that upset Joe Budden. He said, showed her the time of her life while broski having stomach aches, hearing about good times at Lover's Lake, and send her back to you while you sleep and walking naked in another state, which is hilarious because Joe Budden was having sleeping problems and walking randomly. Basically I have sleepwalking throughout the whole, for a while he's actually was dealing with that. You'll live to see another day. Even if you don't, it's just another day. We ain't crying for your punk ass anyway. Basically saying that if something happens to Joe Budden, nobody really cares. Life's going to move on, which is diabolical, man, especially the sleepwalking naked thing. It's kind of hilarious, actually. Then towards the end, he says, and Muggsy Bugs dunked for once. Even I'm a bit amazed. So if you don't know this Muggsy guy, he's a 5'3" basketball player. And if he were to dunk, it would be the craziest thing ever because somebody at 5'3" dunking is insane. Here he's basically saying that Kendrick Lamar is, because Kendrick Lamar is shorter, he's referring to Muggsy as Kendrick Lamar and saying that, yeah, Kendrick Lamar got the dunk, but it's such a rare thing that even it amazed me. Basically saying that Not Like Us record is like a once-in-a-lifetime thing that he got. and he can't repeat that success. And to be fair, that's probably his biggest record like of his whole career. He has Humble and those other records on Damn, but not like Us went to Diamond so quick, it was like astronomical. So he's basically saying like, even that amazed me that he managed to do that. But that doesn't mean that he's better than me just because he had this one moment where he just happened to just hit strike gold is basically what he's saying. Then he continues, says, yeah, someone give the kid a raise. What is it? The braids, even when I cut them, I could never fade. I mean, it's Drizzy Drake. Basically responding to, obviously, Kendrick Lamar saying, what is it, the braids? On the Euphoria diss track. He says, even if I were to cut them, nobody's going to fade me, making, reference to fade when you're getting a haircut. But yeah, that is the whole Make Them Remember track, addressing, obviously, Joe Budden, LeBron James, Kendrick Lamar, so on and so forth. And on the rest of the tracks of Iceman, Drake basically just, doubles down and says he's the best, calls out, people with fake streams, talks about his homies and, how gangster they are, so on and so forth. A lot of it is repeated, but those bars that are broke down are really the main ones where he's addressing specific people. The rest are just, quick bars, quick jabs here and there that is like repeating throughout the album. But that's the full breakdown for Iceman. Let me know what you guys think of this album. What do you guys think of all three of the Drake albums? Are you guys a fan of them? Do you guys think it's a smart move for Drake to drop 3 projects? And will he get that record of having the 1, 2, and 3 slot for all 3 of these albums? Who knows, but let me know what you guys think. And it looks like DJ Khaled and Rick Ross have officially responded to Drake dissing them on his new album, Iceman. If you're unaware, Drake dropped 3 new albums, one being Iceman, the other being Habibti, and the other one being Maid of Honor. And Iceman is the one where he's mainly rapping, and he sends a bunch of disses towards a lot of artists. And if you haven't checked out my video breaking down each bar, go ahead and check that out. But right now, we're going to be talking about Rick Ross and DJ Khaled officially responding to Drake dissing them. So let's go over the DJ Khaled response first. On the track, Make Them Pay, Drake says this about Khaled. And Khaled, you know what I mean. The beef was fully live. You went halal and got on your deen. And your people are still waiting for a free Palestine. But apparently everything is in black and white and red and green. Here, Drake is calling DJ Khaled out for not speaking up for his own people. Yes, he's never spoken up for his own people, never said free Palestine, nothing, despite some of his family members actually being, hurt in the whole war that's going on with Israel and Palestine. He hasn't said a single word, and actually a streamer caught him out in public and said, say it, and he said, no, all peace and love to everything, which, to a certain extent I can understand, but hey, man, that's your people. Speak up, say something at least do a ceasefire, which is what Drake signed. He signed a ceasefire relating to it, but that's what Drake said in the track, dissing him and calling him out. And DJ Khaled has officially responded, and he responded in a way that just makes absolutely no sense. On Instagram, he posted a video of him riding a horse in water, and in the caption, he said, "Let God rise and all his enemies scatter." Then he quotes a song from SZA's Dem I Wonder, and he literally quotes the lyrics throughout the whole caption. And I'm not going to say it because it's all like Jamaican and I can't pronounce it properly. But in the song, SZA is basically saying that some people resent him because he reminds them of dignity, identity, and higher standards they've abandoned. But Khaled quoting this from the song makes no sense because, you're the one that's not at a higher standard. You're the one that's not having dignity by not speaking up for your people. But he's like throwing it back on Drake and saying, you're the one that doesn't have dignity and, respect and higher standards. Now, I get it. Drake has never said free Palestine. Even in the song, he's telling Khaled to say it. But Drake, at least within the first 20 days, I believe, when the October 7th situation happened with Israel, he signed a ceasefire, at least. He petitioned, signed it, and said, hey, there needs to be a ceasefire. So at least that happened from Drake. Yeah, could he have done more? Of course. But at least he did something, considering he's actually Jewish. It's something, different barriers that he's crossing and helping in terms of people, right? But Khaled, this is his actual people. Like, he's actually from Palestine. And it said not a single thing. So that's DJ Khaled's response. It makes no sense. And I think he's taken the high road as he usually does. Instead of just, hey, addressing the situation and finally just addressing his own people, man. He shut off his comments on social media again. He turned them back on after like a year of people basically saying, hey, free Palestine, and he hasn't said nothing relating to it, but he turned his comments back off again so nobody can comment on the stuff that he posts, and it's going to ruin any type of album rollout that he has because this has forever tainted his image. People do not look at DJ Khaled the same way. And I don't think any type of feature or any type of song is going to help him in this situation. But that is DJ Khaled's response. And let's get to Rick Ross. The correctional officer, Rick Ross, got dissed by Drake on the track Make Them Pay. He said in the lyrics, "Dog, I was aiding Ross with streams before Aiden and Ross had ever streamed," which is a clever play on words. He was basically saying, I was helping Rick Ross with streams before Aiden Ross, the actual streamer, was even streaming. He was saying, basically, I was helping this guy throughout his career years with streams and numbers. And it's true. Three of his songs in the top 10 feature Drake. Either it's Drake songs or it features Drake. The only song he's got that's charted the highest was The Boss featuring T-Pain. And that's his song, but it's still featuring somebody. He hasn't had a major success as like a solo artist on the charts in a really long time, basically since Hustling, and BMF did pretty well as well, like as a solo. Actually, but BMF had Styles P on it, but still, I would count that because Styles P I don't think really did much for the record in terms of like helping it chart because Styles P is not a commercial artist. He's a great rapper, of course, but not a commercial artist. So I would give him BMF. Maybe 2010 was the last time, but Hustling is really the only time he came out solo as an artist and actually did some type of impact. Other than that, it's been features that's been really holding him up when it comes to his career. And Drake's been the one that's mainly feeding him to make him relevant. So that's what Drake said on the track. And Rick Ross immediately responded by making a video clowning him. So let's play this video.
Bars. Damn. Niggas say 3 albums are trash albums, 2 years too late. What site is this? Complex? Complex. The Glazer University. Oh my God. I've been a long fan. Oh my God. Mr. YouTube. Fuck a big 3 anyway. There was too many chefs in the kitchen. Bars. Come on, guys. Stop. Y'all gotta, let's all leave Lil Man's alone now, man. He did it. He dropped 3 mid projects. Hey, man, it was fun while it lasted. You're washed. It's a beautiful morning. Perfect time to feed yourself the knowledge. The knowledge. What's that? Rory and Maul, get off your knees. Get the testicles out of your mouth now. I don't know which one, the white one or the black one. Y'all both the same. Rory Maul, the Glazers. The Glazers. How y'all feel now? You know, Drake just committed suicide. I'm sure he'll retire next month. How is his lawsuit doing? How is the Drake University lawsuit coming? I don't know. I don't know, guys. I didn't listen to YouTube, man, last night. I'm just going by what you guys say. But once again, we up again, baby. It's the biggest boss. R.I.P. to the Drake stands. Can only imagine what that feels like. Well, I really couldn't. But for those that didn't know, I was a big boy, making big boy records when homie was on Degrassi.
See, this guy, Rick Ross, this correctional officer who stole someone's whole identity and government name, he says all these things, but in reality, he's nowhere near Drake's level, 50 Cent's level, or anybody that he's beefed with, recently. Drake is like at an astronomical different level. It's ridiculous. When somebody is handing you hits, like you can't even chart yourself. Like he mentioned, I was making hit records when he was on Degrassi. Cool, bro. You weren't charting number 1. You Hustlin' didn't reach number 1 on the Hot 100. The Boss was the highest record you had, and it reached number 16. And that was with the help of T-Pain, who was the hottest hook singer at that time, alongside Akon. You had to get him. Anybody that was getting a T-Pain record was charting. Easy. It's the easiest dub in fucking music at that time. But let's put that all to the side. Rick Ross, you're nowhere near the level of a Drake. You're nowhere near the level of a 50 Cent. And I'm glad 50's ignored you, and Drake should continue to ignore you because you're obviously promoting your products because nobody cares. Your next album that's coming out, nobody gives a shit. I can't name a single song from that album. What's going to be set in stone is you are a correctional officer who stole a person's identity and ran with it. You're not even real yourself as a person. That's the crazy thing about this whole situation. So William Roberts, keep promoting your whatever you're promoting, but you're nowhere near the tier. Go check the tour. Go, what did Rick Ross say a while ago, man? I'll never forget this Breakfast Club interview. I think it was like 2013. He was like, check the scoreboard. Check the scoreboard. Well, check the scoreboard. 50's at a whole different tier. Drake's at a whole different tier. Like, you're nowhere near these guys. 50 just did the final lap tour and did 103 cities across America and the world. And you have your 20-year anniversary for your album, and you're barely touching maybe 15, 20 cities if you're lucky in America only. Drake does global tours like it's nothing. Nothing. It's light work for him. There's levels to this. And Ross, you're just trying to find your way in any way that you can because you're not relevant. You haven't been relevant in years. Nobody checks for Rick Ross's music right now. Last album you dropped, I can't even name the fucking album. And I know Rick Ross's catalog pretty well. I forget the fucking album because it just came and went. Anyways, that is Rick Ross's response. And of course, DJ Khaled's response. Let me know what you guys think and who else do you think is going to respond. I have this theory that where I think Jay-Z is preparing a comeback by doing these interviews. He's going to get more in the spotlight. He's going to drop his album, and I think he's going to diss Drake. Whether it's subliminally, directly, I think that is a battle that's been brewing for a long time, just like the Drake-Kendrick one. And that could be Drake's way, or at least in his head. I'm not saying that this is going to happen, but I'm thinking in Drake's head, that could be a way for him to win the public again, at least the hip-hop side, more. Because the Kendrick thing kind of just like made him look like he was a loser, blah, 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 even though he's dominating. I mean, he's breaking records right now with ICEMAN. But, you know, in the hip-hop world, they look at him like he lost badly to that. But with this Jay-Z thing, if he actually went against Jay-Z and they actually battled, if he actually somehow won that, then yeah, that would shift tides and that would be a whole different thing. But who knows if that's going to happen? That's just speculation in my mind. I could be right, just like, you know, when I said that Drake and Kendrick beef is bound to happen eventually in 2019. I said that, which isn't like foreseeing anything because they were disrespecting each other subliminally for a long time. So I didn't like predict anything. I was just paying attention to the bars and I was like, yeah, these guys are going at each other and they've been going at each other for a minute. But yeah, that's my take on it. Let me know what you guys think of DJ Khaled and Rick Ross's response. New music, let's get into it. Drake obviously dropped ICEMAN and the two other albums made of honor Habibti. Lucky dropped DRB the album. BNYX dropped Genesis FM the album. Giveon dropped Beloved Act 2 the album. And Quando Rano dropped Until I Return the album. So check that out. Album sales, Noah Khan, The Great Divide is at number 1 with 133,000. Number 2 is Ella Langley, Dandelion at 99,000. Number 3 debut is Cortis, so Cortis, Green Green. Number 3 debut with 85,000. Number 4 is Morgan Wallen, I'm the Problem with 84,000. Number 5 debut is Chris Brown with 67,000. That's not bad. That is not bad. A top 5 debut. Michael Jackson, number 1's at number 6 with 65,000. Michael Jackson Thriller at number 7 with 64,000. Number 8, BTS Air Rang with 43,000. Number 9, Morgan Wallen, One Thing at a Time with 41,000. Olivia Dean, The Art of Love at number 10 with 40,000. Going down the list, let's see. Drake Take Care, number 22 with 27,000. Drake Views, number 35 with 21,000. Drake Scorpion, number 47 with 18,000. Kanye West Graduation, number 48 with 17,000. And Drake Certified Lover Boy, number 49 with 17,000. Crazy, man. Drake's all over the fucking charts. Billboard Hot 100, number 1, Choosing Texas, Ella Langley. Number 2, Be Her, Ella Langley. Jeez, bro. Number 1 and 2 slot. Drop Dead, Olivia Rodrigo, number 3. Man I Need, Olivia Dean, number 4. I Just Might, Bruno Mars, number 5. So Easy, Olivia Dean, number 6. Same fucking artist, bro. They're taking over the charts. Ordinary, Alex Warren, number 7. I Can't Love You No More, Ella Langley and Morgan Wallen, number 8. Ella Langley's got 3 songs in the top 10. Jesus Christ, who are these artists, bro? Never heard of them. Folded, Kalani, number 9. And Dracula, Tame Impala, and Genie, number 10. Going down the list, let's see. Billie Jean is at number 17. That's crazy, bro. That song came out fucking, 40-something years ago? Insane, number 17. Let's see. Going down the list. Pop That Thing, McClap, The Baby at number 26. Damn, that shit's climbing up. That's crazy. The Baby's got a hit record on there. Just Beat It, Michael Jackson, number 32. That's dope, man. Shout out to Michael Jackson, bro. Don't Stop Till You Get Enough, number 42. Michael Jackson. Beautiful, bro. Michael Jackson's back on the charts. T.I. led him number 52. By the way, T.I. hasn't had a momentum on any of these other songs that he's dropped, like Mr. Him and all this. Let him know it's the only record so far, which is great still regardless. I mean, he's past his prime a long time ago, so any type of momentum is great for an artist that's been out for a while like that. Going down the list, yeah, there's really no more hip-hop, man. Chris Brown, Fallen, number 90. Chris Brown, Obvious, number 91. Pooh Shiesty, FDO, number 93. Yay, Father with Travis Scott, number 96. French Montana, Max B, Ever Since You Left Me, number 98. And yeah, that's it for the Billboard Hot 100. And that's it for today's episode of the Diverse Mentality Podcast. As always, appreciate you guys. Spotify, Deezer, Podcast, YouTube, all that. Have an amazing night, day, whenever you listen to this, and peace.